Hello and welcome back to another Monster Monday, a series where I draw a creature from D&D and I talk about its lore and its history and what it's like to fight in-game as well. As per tradition, the monsters that I cover are your suggestions that you leave down in the comment section below, and today is no different. So today I will be covering the Shambling Mound, as was suggested by Lee Chamberlain, so thank you very much for your suggestion, Lee. A couple of things just before I get started. Firstly, I wanted to apologise for my absence. I started to feel a little bit unwell, so I decided to take a week off of working, on the channel at least. But unfortunately, if I take one full week off, that means I don't get much prep done, which correlates to you guys not getting videos for 2 weeks, rather than just the one. So that's why you've not seen anything from me for a couple of weeks. I just decided to take a week off, but it's been absolutely lovely. Still, I'm excited to draw some monsters for you. The second thing is I wanted to mention again the competition that I'll be holding on the 7th of September. The 7th of September marks the anniversary of this channel. I will have been making videos for a whole year at that point, and to mark the occasion I wanted to do a giveaway of a copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. If you'd like a copy, please make sure to just enter the competition by emailing me a drawing of a creature from D&D, or perhaps a homebrew monster, to my email address, which is info.arcaneforge@gmail.com. I'll leave a little link down in the description box. But yeah, send in your drawings, your illustrations of monsters to enter, and my favourite will win a copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Also, I'll be doing a question and answer in that video, so if you have any questions for me, please make sure to leave those in the comments as well. Maybe just put little brackets around it saying video question. I'll make sure to answer it as long as there's time. Anyway, let's get started with today's video. So, from one of the most recent monsters in D&D history through the Nothic, it's time to go back to some of the golden oldies, the golden era of monsters from D&D in the Shambling Mound, which is one of the first creatures that appeared in the 1974 release of the game. But what are they? Shambling Mounds are large, unaligned, vaguely humanoid-shaped swamp monsters. And when I say swamp monsters, I mean that they are literally composed of swamp matter. They are essentially vaguely sentient fungi, decaying plant matter, moss, vines, and various other things that might grow or perhaps die and become discarded in a large wet body of rotting vegetation. You'll see as we go through that I put a few skulls here and there through the drawing, including an alligator skull for its sort of main central head, because I thought that would be a cool idea. But there's no need for these things to have really any kind of humanoid shape, really, or a head or eyes or anything like that. It could just be a sphere of roots, to be perfectly honest, and they still function exactly the same in the rules. But as Keith Aman wrote in his beautiful blog, The Monsters Know What They're Doing, in regards to the Shambling Mound, quote, "The monster manual illustration looked like a Christmas tree with a carrot for a nose in first edition, so it's hard for me to shake that image. So I'll definitely be drawing this as a kind of humanoid shape." I like to imagine that its original appearance was inspired by Marvel Comics' Man-Thing, a similarly humanoid swamp monster that debuted in May of 1971. But as I say, there's nothing in any of the rules or lore that requires this creature to have any semblance of a shape. So I'm going to have a play around as I draw this and incorporate some swampy things. So we'll see how it turns out. Now, the Shambling Mound is a great creature with lots of interesting features, which we'll discuss in a second. But I can't go any farther without talking about how they come to be, because at a cursory glance, the Shambling Mound has the most idiotic origin of all D&D creatures, in my opinion, but it could, as we dive deeper, tell us some interesting things about the D&D multiverse. So the Shambling Mound is a plant. Not a monstrosity, an aberration, an elemental, or anything like that. It's just literally a plant, or a collection of plant matter, that has become animated after being, wait for it, struck by lightning. Not special magical lightning, not an elemental trapped in a golem-like shell of plant matter awakened by lightning, just run-of-the-mill lightning in the world of D&D. To that end, this would mean that if a cabbage in Neverwinter is struck by lightning in the middle of a particular storm, a salad will come to life and kill you as an 8 to 16 foot herb beast called a Shambling Mound. So being a vegan in D&D is potentially a perilous task and could be a heroic mission to rid the world of huge challenge rating 5 swamp monsters. Or it could just be a fantastic business idea if you learn some kind of lightning conjuring spell, become a cabbage farmer, and shoot all the cabbages that you grow. Each cabbage produces a 16-foot cabbage creature, and slaying it could solve world hunger. So 5th edition has made efforts to rectify the 1970s D&D board meeting that probably ended up like, well, if it was good enough for DC Comics to make Lightning create the Flash, then Lightning can certainly create Swamp Thing in our universe. But in those rectifying efforts, we are now told in 5th edition that Fey magic could also spawn these creatures. But I think that opens up some interesting ideas for D&D. Ignoring the fact that this potentially means that any lightning strike could create shambling mounds, overrunning the world, there are a few options to consider. So either lightning in D&D is not necessarily electrical, but could be innately magical in nature, and carry with it transformative properties of not being documented by the wizards, mages, or scholars of the world. Or the places that lightning strikes would have to be special in some way in order to create a shambling mound. We know that Fey magic can be involved, doesn't have to be, but can be involved in this process. So perhaps lightning needs to strike some magical or Fey ley lines, perhaps Fey lines, that are already brimming with latent magic, and that lightning pulses it over the edge, causing mulched corpses and leaves and swamp matter to coalesce into a shambling mound. Perhaps lightning strikes a place where poorly understood druidic magic and practices once took place, and the memory of those spells and rituals held in the grass beneath. Maybe a tiny remnant of a portal that no one bothered to completely close to the elemental planes, long forgotten, is opened up by the infusion of lots of energy from a storm, and the soul of an elemental takes hold in the swamp. Maybe the sorrow, the anger, or other strong emotions of the long-dead civilization of wood elves that once lived in a swamp, killed before their time, cling to a swamp in the gnarled roots of trees and the spores of fungi. And they are combined into a confusing consciousness when energized with electricity. Who knows? Because to be honest, almost anything is better than, I don't know, lightning did it when you see a shambling mound. But however lightning manages to produce life in the shambling mound, it grants this foliage fiend some interesting properties. Shambling mounds are resistant to cold damage, as its ever-shifting form of decaying mulch cares little for cold, but also fire damage, which is pretty unexpected for something that's made out of plant matter, but I believe that's probably because it's mostly made of very wet and densely packed mulch, so full of moisture from the swamp that it came from that it wouldn't catch fire easily, or perhaps it's just so constantly shifting it doesn't have a solid form, a consistent form, that if something catches fire, it simply discards that bit, it drops to the floor and consumes more nearby plant matter to regrow itself. But interestingly, the shambling mound is immune to lightning damage. Rather, it regains health for every point of lightning damage thrown at it, as it was spawned by this power. And again, as I said, although I've put skulls all over the place, it doesn't necessarily need a head or eyes or anything like that. So, as a creature that doesn't necessarily need eyes, organs or bones or anything conventional that life requires to function, the shambling mound is immune to being blinded or deafened. Instead, sensing through vibrations in the earth and the air within 60 feet of it, giving it 60-foot blind sight, and it can't be exhausted. In fact, they're really hard to kill outright. Once spawned, the mound has 15 armor class, which isn't absolutely horrifying. You know, it's made of plant stuff after all, it's not going to be an absolute juggernaut, but it does have 16 d10 plus 48 health, which is going to take a really long time to whittle down, especially with its immunities. And that's due to its ever-shifting and growing sort of Catadamari Damasi style body of accumulated organic matter, which acts like a shell around the central core of this creature, called the root stem, the heart of this monster, its true form, as it were, the pilot for this mulch mech suit that houses the instructive driving force to consume and survive in the shambling mound. It's not quite a brain, but at Intelligence 5, it does certainly have a will that stems from this core, something in the same neighbourhood as a mind, and although called the root stem, the core could really be anything. a skull, a piece of broccoli, a pine cone, whatever thing was initially granted life by being struck by lightning. The mound buries this root stem by building a protective sort of suit of armor, layers and layers of plant matter around this core, because destroying the root stem is the only way to truly eliminate a shambling mound. If not destroyed, whether it takes a year or a day, the root stem will slowly regrow the body of the shambling mound around it. Essentially, this creature is immortal if your party don't figure out that they need to destroy the core, which makes its primary method of attack a little bit weird. The Shambling Mound's only goal, really, is to consume absolutely everything it comes into contact with, to grow and expand and survive, basically, and to add more and more layers to protect its root stem. But in its enormous size and very basic form, it's not very fast. It can walk or swim at 20 feet per movement action. So it will use its leafy appearance to go dormant and hide, photosynthesizing or decomposing nearby nutrients to generate the energy to move, and then they'll spring into life when a creature moves within range to attack. It will then wildly smash its limbs into a foe, dealing 2d8 plus 4 bludgeoning damage per hit, with a chance to grapple someone. If someone is grappled, the mound will then engulf the creature into its form, blinding them and suffocating them, restraining them, and dealing periodic bludgeoning damage to them every turn unless they can somehow break free. As they're consumed by this forest-like growth that twists and turns with vines, gradually breaking and grinding down their bones if they can't escape, adding yet more mulch to this beast's body. We can see similar behavior in nature when animals eat their prey, or bees destroying intruding hornets in their hives by swarming all around them like a rugby scrum, raising their body temperature to 47 degrees C, or 117 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe, if you're in America, which essentially cooks the hornet to death. It's the same sort of thing. They lie in wait until the hornet feels that it's secure and safe, and then they launch their attack, suffocating and boiling the hornet to death. But it's a weird attack plan for the Shambling Mound because, although deadly, it does bring a potential attacker within range of the root stem. Now, I'm not saying that you have many options as a blind, suffocating, restrained creature inside this thing, as you hear your fingers individually snap by very, very thick vines and a sea of fungus that compresses your body into mulch. But you could set off a bomb or some other radius spell attack that you don't need to see while engulfed that would almost certainly kill the mound permanently by eradicating this root stem while you're in the middle with it. So yeah, the Shambling Mound is a really interesting one. I always struggle to use it because of the bizarreness with which it is created. I tend to go about saying that it's some sort of druidic defense mechanism if people are wandering through an old wood elf city or civilization, or if some sort of sorcerous wild magic has occurred in the area. I almost never go with the lightning route, but if you have, please make sure to leave that down in the comments, because I would love to hear how you've kind of worked around the logic of lightning striking the ground, creating a monster. You know, what does that mean for the rest of your world? Is your world barren from vegetation, allowing lightning to strike wherever it pleases except for in a few locations, at which point it's almost certain that shambling mounds will occur? Does it have to be special lightning, or is it just poorly understood? Anyway guys, this has been the Shambling Mound. I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly enjoyed drawing it. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a little thumbs up, a little like, perhaps favourite this video, and share it with the rest of your group so that they can increase their gardening skills before they have to fight one of these creatures in-game. If you enjoy the content that I make and you'd like to see more, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Everything that you can do like that really, really helps the channel to grow, to be seen more, so thank you so much for your help. If you love this drawing in particular and you'd like a copy for yourself, please make sure to head over to my Patreon page, where patrons receive drawings of my Monster Mondays. They either get digital prints or physical prints, depending on what level you back the channel. And your pledges help me to keep making these videos and improve the kind of quality of content that I can make. So thank you very, very much for your help there. Just a reminder again as well about the 7th of September giveaway that I'll be doing for the anniversary of the Arcane Forge, where I'll be giving away a copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So if you'd like a copy of that, please make sure to email me a drawing of a monster from D&D or one of your own homebrew monsters, my favourite drawing will win a copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. All you need to do is send your drawing through to me at info.arcaneforge@gmail.com. And again, if you have any monster suggestions for creatures that you'd like to see me draw in a Monster Monday, or if you have video questions that you'd like me to answer in the Q&A that I'll be doing on the 7th of September, make sure to leave your comments down in the comment section below. And until next time, happy monster hunting, guys!